Just moments ago, top Trump officials, administration officials, briefed members of the Senate on the U.S. military operations in Iran. Joining us now to share what he can from that briefing is Senator Steve Daines of Montana. He serves on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, among other committees. Senator Daines, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, what can you share with us from the briefing that you received from the Pentagon?
Well, Tony, I'm very proud of the team that's leading this effort in Iran under the direction of President Trump. We had, of course, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. We had the head of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, as well as head of Joint Chiefs of Staff, Raising Cane, as President Trump says. It was a great briefing. I think we can be encouraged as the progress made. We're just nearly 100 hours into this conflict, and we're making good, steady progress. I think it's also helped to remember, Tony, is when you look back at what's been going on for 47 years in Iran, there have just been two Ayatollahs. There was one there, the first one after the revolution when the Shah was removed. He was there for 10 years. The Ayatollah Khamenei that they took out, the Israelis took out just in the first strike of this campaign, was there for 37 years. That's the 47-year arc. So this is just absolutely a tremendous blow to the regime in Iran. But importantly, as our forces are methodically and in a very disciplined way working with the Israelis and now other Arab countries who are asking for strike packages, given that the Iranians now have attacked virtually all of their Arab neighbors, they're going through taking out more and more of the launchers. This is important because, as we say, it's better to knock out the archer than to try to knock out the arrows that once they come flying in the air with the intercepts. The intercepts are doing an amazing job. We're seeing that both in Israel and around our Arab countries that the Iranians have been targeting. But I think the name of the game here now is to continue to increase the tempo, which we're going to do. You're going to see even more strikes, more aggressive, quicker tempo, as we're working to literally obliterate the launchers to ensure the Iranians do not have the capabilities to have a nuclear program, either in the short term or the long term.
Speaking of that nuclear program, Senator Daines, was there a red line? Was there a tipping point in which the administration said, we've got to go?
Yeah, well, I think you have to step back and realize the Iranians were moving as fast as they could to continue to reconstitute their nuclear program through other means. And of course, you could do that through acquiring technology from adversaries in the region. But what was important is that the Iranians were going to be building more of their ballistic missiles. As we already have seen, these ballistic missiles are incredibly dangerous, and they have about 3,000 of them. They were on their way to build a significantly higher amount of these ballistic missiles. At some point, they would be able to overwhelm even our best air defenses. And so it was important that the strike was initiated before Iran got to a critical mass, where at that point you can't touch him without having severe retribution and harm to not only the allies there in the Middle East, but with reach all the way to the United States. And so the president, in my opinion, Trump, made exactly the right call. You've had leaders over the years who have really worked an appeasement strategy with the Iranians. I mean, think of the failed policies of Barack Obama, shipping pallet loads of cash, trying to negotiate with these terrorists on the JCPOA, that nuclear deal. Nonsense. President Trump made the right decision. He's destroying their military capabilities. The Navy is gone. Their air defenses will soon be gone. And we're going to have free reign in the air over Iran with the Israelis, as well as other Arab partners that now want to join the fight. Perhaps other European partners want to join the fight and completely destroy the military capabilities there in Iran, so they'll never, ever have a chance to reconstitute and build out a nuclear program. And of course, it'll be up to the Iranian people at some point that will want regime change. I think every one of us wants to see regime change. It will be up to the Iranian people to do so. But by taking out the Ayatollah and now many of the successors, as well as their military leaders and their scientists, they're in a position where the Iranian people could rise up and put a new government in place.
Senator Daines, you mentioned the appeasement that we've seen in previous administrations. I would argue you almost go back to World War II, since we've had a victory mentality of actually winning a conflict. We've always kind of, since the Korean War, it's been more of a containment approach and never finishing the job. This appears like the president is very clear that this job is going to be finished.
Well, Tony, you're a veteran. You've served. And we thank you for that service. My father's 86. He was a Marine also. My dad listened to the Marine hymn when he goes to bed at night. So I got raised the right way, Tony. But I'll tell you, think about a successful military endeavor has number one, clear objectives, which this administration has. Number two, the use of overwhelming force, which is very important. You don't go into a conflict with half-hearted. It's immoral to put our troops in harm's way unless you are putting everything into that conflict. It's exactly what President Trump has done. Amazing force posture right now surrounding Iran. And number three is the element of surprise. And that's exactly what happened. There was a brilliant strike when the Iranians were taken out during the day. The Iranian doctrine, in terms of their defenses, assumed the Israelis would only strike during the night. They surprised him with a daytime strike. Why a daytime strike? Because the Ayatollah had assembled many of his colleagues and his subordinates together in one place. That was a fatal mistake. The Israelis struck when the Iranians were not expecting it.
Senator, this is clearly different from what we've seen with Afghanistan and other places. This is not a nation-building exercise. This is, as you said, it's going to be turned over to the people. But you're a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. We just got about a minute and a half left, but I want to ask you this question. Are you concerned about what other actors in that region might fill the void that will be created by the absence of Iran and that regime?
You're always concerned about that. Tony, I just did a swing through Africa here 2 weeks ago into Cote d'Ivoire, to Nigeria, into DRC and Rwanda. You're seeing the sub-Saharan region of the world reconstituting of the terror force, the Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS. In fact, ISIS operational headquarters now are in sub-Saharan Africa. And that's, of course, you get your maps out, that's not very far from exactly what we're talking about here from Iran. So you're always going to be concerned about the wrong leaders being put in place to succeed the demise of the Ayatollah. But that's why I think there's going to be a lot of work done. The Israelis, I think, are looking at that very, very carefully. That's not going to be our decision. We want to make sure that we have taken out the force posture of the Iranians so they cannot use force against the people. Remember, the people are pro-Western. Many of them are pro-American. It's these Ayatollah and this horrible, evil regime that is the problem. And we want to pray and hope for the right kind of change in power. And I'm confident we'll do a lot better than what we've had. Hopefully, it'll be the right long-term stability, which we once had, decades ago. Think about Iran being friendly to the United States, a friend to Israel, a sign of the Abraham Accords someday. That will be a game changer for our children and grandchildren.
Absolutely. Senator Steve Daines, always great to see you, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tony.